Hello. Testing, 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 testing. Okay, the mic is hot. I'm opening up a huge can of worms. If anyone is outside, we are going to begin our community meeting. Community meeting about to start. T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay. Let's take a moment and gather, and we'll start with an opening prayer for this community meeting where we are here to share the things that we may or may not is going on, to get perspectives, insight, feedback, to answer questions, and to strengthen all of those beautiful interconnected bonds that make us this beloved community, Unity of Tustin. Oh, sweet Spirit, Mother, Father, God, that source of mystery that is the foundation of all reality from which all of us emerge. We pray this with the recognition that we are the divine, we interact as the divine between us relationally, and then there is the mystery beyond understanding. And we bow in love to all of it. We're humbled in love by all of it. By the magnificence, by the mystery, and by the love. And we bless this meeting space with that love, all of those who are here or online or will be watching, that this be an reciprocal transfer of love, knowledge, and community, so that we bring forward all of the perspectives and can serve from the wisdom of our greater whole. And with great gratitude for this extraordinary dance of life and community, we say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Amen. Well, welcome everyone to our community meeting. And we are here to live our evolutionary purpose of transforming lives and inspiring each other to make a positive difference in our world. And we do that through our individual work. We do that through our conscious connection, which creates a node of resonance for the greater world. And we do that through the way we interface with the greater community, which is something we're moving into more and more. So we can do the first slide. And, oh, I have the clicker. I can do the first slide. Yes, yes. I can do it for us. So today we have our board here. We have Connie Carter as our president. Hold your applause till the end. I'm going through all the names. Kathy Andrews as our vice president. Kim Manning as our treasurer. Maricela Velasquez-Pinney as our secretary. Bruce Baird as our member at large, currently at large in Maui. And me as our Minister and Chief Evolutionary Officer and SMT rep for Craig Phillips and Reverend Blair. Erin Hostetler is here as our Youth and Family Life Director. And Mary Jean Hawes, who's our resident alchemist. Okay, so what you can expect over the next hour from now is, next slide, Shara. We're doing the opening prayer, evolutionary update, and then we will continue with a preschool update, an update of the Meditation Gardens of Orange County, treasurer update, youth and family life update, outreach update. We have some hot off the presses information from that one. That's going to be new news for me too. Spirit groups update, and administrative position information dissemination. And then after all of those presentations, we're going to have time for conscious conversation. That's going to be facilitated by Mary Jean, and we'll have about 25 minutes for that. So hopefully a good amount of time. If we need it all, we'll take it all. If not, we can go home a little bit early, and we'll end with prayer. So what I'm here to really talk about is really talking about the why behind two of the main initiatives that we're going to be talking about today, which is giving you some information about the aspiration to create a preschool here at Unity of Tustin, and also the why behind the Meditation Gardens of Orange County. So Connie and Kim and Steve Stokel will talk more in particular about those initiatives. But I want to link it to a little bit to the talk this morning, that what we are really looking at is spiritual development over a lifetime. You know, as spiritual community, we really want that conveyor belt that we keep growing over a lifetime. And that includes us as an organization, as a spiritual community as well. So one of the things that maybe you could say is a marker of spiritual development is the expansiveness of our perspective. So in general, we start with the me, like I was talking about, before the we. And what we want to do is really kind of get that me in attunement with a larger purpose, with that we, so we are in service of the greater whole. Then we kind of move to being, so that's egocentric, okay? So we're really in the spiritual capacity building, we're moving from being egocentric to ecocentric. I-centric to all of us plus cosmic unfolding centric. And everything in between is kind of our growing edge. So then it starts interpersonal, me and you. And then it becomes community, me, you, and us. Then it becomes greater community, me, you, us, and them. And then it becomes, global, and then it becomes cosmic. So on some level, and this isn't really a judgment, we've been a little bit ethnocentric, where we've been mostly about the development of our own selves, which is, I don't like the way that sounds. It's, how do I want to put this? This is the question that we were asked by our coach, and that actually my old minister used to ask us in board meetings as well at Unity Spiritual Center of Albuquerque. If we disappeared as a spiritual community, who would miss us? What impact would we have? That's kind of a way to look at it. And, quite honestly, at Unity Spiritual Center in Albuquerque, the answer would be, well, the people who would miss us most is us. And that is a big loss, because we make a difference to ourselves, and we really help us be better people in our own lives and in the world and in our ability to experience and express God. It's a big mission. And there was a awareness that outside of Unity Spiritual Center of Albuquerque, most people wouldn't know we're even gone. I think that's a little less true here, partly because we're cemented in these gardens, and these gardens are a resource for our greater community, and they have a prayer consciousness that has its own emanation that I think really matters to a larger collective. And we have an intentionality to increase those tentacles of interface with the greater community. And one way we would do that is through both of these initiatives. With a preschool, I still have trauma from the days of raising children without enough support. If I did after a while, if we have a thriving preschool in this beautiful sanctuary space with methodology, because we wouldn't be running it, we'd be with a methodology that's congruent with our values, and then we closed, all those families would really, really miss us. if we have gardens that the community knows about more and more, and we do soulful activities on this campus that bring people to us where we can celebrate community in different ways, and then we disappeared, more people would miss us. Your interfaith talked about creating something from nothing. As we do these different things, we start to matter to more people. Maricela will talk about, a first ever outreach event. All of that matters. So that's some of the why behind we're doing this, is because it actually grows us in our spiritual organizational capacity to matter and make a difference in the world. And that's the second part of our evolutionary purpose, to transform lives and inspire each other to make a difference in the world. And that's what I think many of our initiatives are really designed to do. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Connie to tell us more about the aspirational preschool.
Perfect. Thank you, Shara. And welcome, and thank you guys for sticking around after church service. Nice group here. So I practiced this in my living room yesterday, trying to get my timing and so forth. And when I looked at my watch, it was like 5 minutes too long. So what I'm going to do is stick pretty closely to what you see there and not go off on tangents. And if there's more depth that you want after I'm complete, stick around and ask me questions afterwards. So I'll stay pretty bare bones at this point so that I don't overdo my time. Thank you for participating in our community meeting. That's what it is. It's not these folks getting up saying stuff. It's our meeting, and it's a two-way, three-way, four-way, five-way conversation. So thank you very much. Let me start a little bit with the background of the preschool. It's an idea that has been floating around this campus for years and years. Those of you who have been around a long time, we've talked about it, and it's almost always in the capacity of revenue generation. So the conversation would go something like, let's have a bake sale, let's have a car wash, let's get a preschool. And then, so we've done some of those, but never the preschool before. So earlier this year, we actually moved into action on the preschool idea. We have talked to a preschool broker who knew there was such a thing, but there is. We have talked to a preschool consultant. We have talked to several potential lessees who have come here, and there's quite a bit of interest in having a preschool here, which tells us there's a community need for it. It's not just us thinking of something, it's needed in the community. So that's kind of the background. Where we are right this second, as far as the County of Orange process, we have filed an application and blueprints and a narrative with the Planning Department of County of Orange. That's the jurisdiction that we are in. We're not City of Tustin, we're County of Orange. And so what we did was we contacted an architect, and they drew up what we want to do in a general sort of way, not very detailed yet. And a narrative saying, here's what we want to do, here's why we want to do it, and so forth. So that's in process right now. We're seeking approval to have a preschool use here on campus. Process is ongoing, and we're waiting for comments from the planning department. They'll come back with corrections and such, and we'll resubmit and get, hopefully, to yes. Hopefully. It's not for sure. They can say no. The next part is logistics. So we have looked into what would be required to have such a use here. One of the things is we need to do a little bit of reconstruction in the education building. We need some more little plumbing fixtures and stuff like that in there. We need to have fencing around the children's garden, and you may have noticed we already did that. They're working on the gates, but we've already done the fencing thanks to the security grant. It was all paid for. So that did not come out of our pocket, and that would have been expensive, just that piece. And so that's pretty cool that it's done. We're going to have to put in some fire alarms, etc. So there are things we'll need to do to get it approved by the county and by Department of Social Services so that it's appropriate for children. And we're finding out more and more about that. We're also looking into tax and insurance issues. That's critical. We have tax exemption here that we don't want to jeopardize or lose, and we want to make sure that we're covered for liability. So we're looking into all of that very carefully to make sure that we're covered and protected. Shara has talked a bit about the why, and I wanted to touch on that just a little bit as well. It needs to be more than just revenue. You know, if it's just, oh, well, we need more money, this is a big deal. So it needs to fit with us. It needs to be more than just a way to make some more revenue here. So some of the whys that I saw is that we've been given the gift of this campus, the gift of these gardens and these facilities and everything. As proper stewards of all that, we need to maximize the use of it. So maximize the use of our physical resources and not have them sitting empty most of the time. You know, some of the buildings are used just a little bit on Sunday and then the rest of the time they're empty. I feel we can do better. It's an opportunity to enhance the vitality of our space. I had no idea we had so many fabulous children doing adorable skits and everything else. I love that. And so having the preschool would, I believe, enhance the vitality of our space, introducing new families to our campus and ministry. I don't see these people as just people leasing space here. I see them as becoming part of our community. And the vitality, and they may come here and they see, oh, you got a preschool, and what else you got? And they might start coming. That's a possibility, and I think it would be wonderful. It would be an opportunity to expand our reach into the community, which fits our mission of making a difference in the world. As Shara already pointed out, it would do that too. So that's part of the whys that I see of inviting a preschool into our space. One of the most important, essential aspects of this whole endeavor is youth and family life activities, missions, and so forth, goals. Church uses must always have priority. And the two uses will be sharing space. And so Aaron's input, involvement, preferences are key, absolutely key. And I see there being a relationship here between our YFL and the preschool. You know, I'm sure there will be some bumps, and I also know you'll figure stuff out. So we envision, here's the way I see it. We envision relationship over revenue. It's not just the money, it's a relationship, and I see great possibilities there. Another essential aspect, and one that we did not do well with at all, was keeping you all in the loop and informed on where we are and what's going on. We've heard people asking questions, and that had we been more forthcoming, you wouldn't have had those concerns and those questions. So this is one of the reasons for this meeting, is to open things up and tell y'all what's happening. One concern we've heard is that the preschool might harm the sacred nature of the gardens, and that's a very valid concern. We don't want to have a use that evaporates the real reason that we're here. And so here's some of the things you might consider that might make you feel a little bit better about that. The preschool will only have access to the education building and the children's garden. They're not going to be moving across the land or anything like that, or swimming in the waterfall, none of that. That's all going to be part of the contract and everything else, which will be very, very specific, both from the energetic part and the liability part. We can't have that. There will be limited numbers of children using the children's garden at a time. It's not like every child who's part of it is going to be outside screaming their heads off in the garden. It's not like that. You touched a little bit on this too. Energetically, I've read some of the applications from these people. They are aligned with what we're about. They will fit in. Some of these that I've read, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is what they're going to be teaching the children. This is fabulous. So they're they're on the same page with us. And then finally, we are currently able to walk, meditate, hold outdoor Sunday services out there in the garden when there are 12 jets per hour going overhead. I think we can adjust to having some little kids over in the northeast corner of the property. And then finally, let me say, our evolution. This proposed change to our physical, logistical, energetic way of being is a huge step, not to be taken lightly, and we're giving a lot of thought to this. A huge step in our evolution as a spiritual community and as a member of our larger community. Again, it's not just our little club here. We're moving out, we're radiating, we're evolving. We want to be discerning and finding our way. This is far from being a done deal. It's not like, oh, well, for sure we're having a preschool. Not at all. As we move forward, we want to be sure that we're in alignment on our reasons for making decisions and fully committed to the collaboration and success of this endeavor. I welcome your questions at the end of the meeting. If something I've said has spurred a thought, I will answer all questions I possibly can. I would now like to turn this over to the Meditation Gardens of Orange County, specifically with Steve Stokel, Kim Manning, and I believe Russell Burns will be coming up to give us some information as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Connie, and welcome everyone. My name's Steve Stokel, and I've been coming here approaching 25 years now. And before I speak of the Meditation Gardens, I just want to make a brief mention to the folks that have created those gardens. First and foremost, of course, Dr. Reverend Marge Britt for her vision, but we've had some very influential people over the years, Dennis and Judy Dupree, Glenda and Fred Knox, Pam and Arnie Bazinski, and unfortunately our beloved Arnie and Dennis and Fred are no longer with us. We got some people that have put in a lot of time and effort into maintaining the grounds, and so Martin Rippins and Annette and Andy Blanton, Marco, of course. So all of those folks have put in a tremendous amount of effort to give me the opportunity to address this and be part of it. And I think how it transpired was over successive years, Patty Higgins, Bonnie Baird, and some others have petitioned the board to consider making the gardens its own separate entity. So this current board approved that. My colleague Kim is going to make a little presentation here in a minute. She put in a tremendous amount of effort getting together our bylaws, which we just ratified this past Sunday. Going to pass that on to the big board, and then hopefully we'll be ready to rock and roll, open up a bank account, and start collecting some monies. I do want to introduce you, if I may, to my colleagues on that board. As vice president, we got Doug Anderson, retired traffic engineer, currently providing consulting services to the city of Tustin. He's an usher and a greeter, and he's also part of the Tall Guy Ministry. When I ran for the board in 2020, I put that one of the skills I had to bring to the table was I could change a light bulb without the aid of a ladder. So Doug and Russ are in that group as well. We've got Sandra Schoonover, who's our secretary. She's a retired property manager, been an active part of the community here for the last 13 years. Stalwart of our hospitality ministry, longtime director of HOAs and various groups, and so she can put up with us and all that we bring to her as a group. We've got Dr. Irene Lara, and she is the mother to 16 plants, 1 assertive cat, 2 birds, her life partner Dane, and all of our grounds. She is an integrative psychologist with over 30 years experience. I'm sorry? Did I mispronounce? Oh, I thought I heard a correction. And she's heading our promotions and our PR, and that's a huge job, especially in the very beginning here. So we welcome her for joining our board of directors. Patty Higgins, I'm sure a lot of you know her. She's an author, cornerstone member of our community, grant writer, bylaws creator and reviser, mother, grandmother, spiritual artist, and so much more. Patty has already secured us a grant. The Tustin Community Foundation, we're barely formed. We don't even have a bank account yet to put the money in. And it's already starting to flow in, so real thrilled about that. And last, but certainly not least, did I forget somebody? I didn't forget Kim. She's going to introduce herself. She is our treasurer, and she does double duty. She's not only the treasurer for the big board, but also for the Meditation Gardens. And she's going to have a little presentation here, and we'll introduce herself. But here we have Kim Manning.
Hello. Yes, I am a double treasurer. So, I think some people had said, "What's going on with the gardens?" You don't see anything because we were very busy building a foundation, and it's really a lot of work building that foundation. And we formed this entity in April, and so then we had to get a board together and basically start everything from scratch. So finally we did that, and then we wanted to open a bank account, and then we needed bylaws. And the bylaws were the big deal because we had to go to an attorney because the church owns the grounds, and we wanted to make sure that the church is protected. We don't want to get some rogue Meditation Gardens board that says, well, we're going to do this and this, we're going to try to take this away from you. And so we worked with an attorney and to structure those bylaws, and what she suggested was a corporate designator, so that Unity Church of Tustin, the board of Unity Church of Tustin, kind of has veto power over this whole Meditation Gardens board. And so, if they want to remove a board member, they can do that. If they want to veto anything that the Meditation Gardens board decides, they can do that. And they have not approved the bylaws yet. Meditation Gardens board approved the bylaws, and then we'll be hopefully approving that in our Unity of Tustin board meeting this week. Once that's done, we can open a bank account. Woohoo! Finally, we can open a bank account. Because we can't do anything without a bank account, right? So, next one. Yes, that's right. Okay, yes, next one, that's true. Okay, so Russ, we're having a, yeah? Introduce Russ.
I will introduce Russell. The why of why we're doing the Meditation Gardens as a separate entity. We want to open up this jewel that has been the best kept secret in Orange County to the rest of the folks in our greater community and in Orange County, and to also make the gardens a self-sustaining entity. We want to be able to have persons and organizations who would not normally donate to a church be able to give to our grounds and to our gardens. And so, sorry that I left that out. And Russell Burns, he's back there on the camera. He's going to talk to us about our next step in the process, which is we're going to be creating a logo and branding it and getting our website and all that fun stuff going. So Russ is going to tell you a little bit about the logo contest.
In the beginning, there was a logos, and we need one. So we're looking for our community to design a logos for the garden. One of the reasons that came up is the grant they were talking about goes towards a website. So the website the name has been approved. Now we're in the building of the website. That website needs a logo. So we're looking at our community. We're looking even towards the children, inviting, bringing everybody into this and creating a beautiful logo that people will recognize. When there's a Tustin event, we could have that logo there. It's very important. Actually, it'd be nice to have a real quick logo for the church. So who knows where this is all going to be developed. So any ideas are welcome. We've got some we've got some flyers. They have to be approved still, but it basically talks about all ages are invited. Submit your logo to me, by RHB49 for those at home at Yahoo. Submit it, and we'll look at all these wonderful ideas. And I look forward to this creation of this this new thing where we're building with the meditation gardens.
One other thing about the meditation garden. So the church is a religious entity, and that's why some people don't want to donate to a religious entity. The meditation gardens is a charity that is not a religious entity. So it can attract funding from other entities that would not give to a religious entity. In fact, this Tustin Community Foundation grant we got, it specifically said on the application, it can't be a religious entity. So we've already opened ourselves up to more revenue. So no, on the financial update, of course, meditation gardens and the preschool are going to help our finances a lot, but we are in really pretty decent shape. So I'm going to go over, can you just skip forward to the next one? It's so tiny. Is there any way to make that any bigger? No? Yeah, I cut and paste. Well, anyway, so you can't see it, but at the bottom line there, this is the statement of Oh, okay. But I know because I kind of have it memorized. The bottom line on that tiny thing is the net income expense, and this is year to date from January to September of 2023, because that's the latest month that's closed. It's a negative $29,901. But let's go back. Can you go back to the, yes. Here are some adjustments we have to make. Included in that, we had an unrealized investment gain of $8,163. What that means is we have an investment that is marked to market every month. So we have not cashed in any of that in quite some time, not since I have been the treasurer. And it changes, the market value of that changes every month. So we record that on our books. So it's unrealized because if we sold it, we would realize that gain. But right now, we don't have any intention of selling that. So it's just like a paper thing. So that $8,163. So we have to subtract that from that negative $29,000. So we're now at like negative $38,000. Negative $38,064. But then we have a grant receivable. So we have this grant that's been paying for our lighting and our fence around our children's garden. So right now we're owed about $36,000. So the church paid for those expenses out of pocket, and we're waiting for the reimbursement. And so if you add that back to the negative $38,000, you're at like about negative $1,400, which is basically breaking even. And this is including, we now have Shar on here 80% time, so we've increased our expenses, and we're pretty much breaking even. And I'm just really excited about that. Our projected net income, I did kind of a projection through the end of the year. We expect a little more tithing revenue the last 3 months of the year. And I did not include the We for Unity opportunity in that. And I came up to expecting us to be about breaking even around 3,000, probably, 0 to 3,000 net income, which is great. I mean, we're holding our own. Yay, woohoo! Can you skip ahead 2 more? Yeah, okay, you can't see this either, but I'll tell you what's up there. So in the I think it's got about 65,000 in the checking account. And basically it's been hovering around 100,000 since I've been here. Since I've been on the board. So we really haven't eaten into that, and the reason we're down by about 35,000 is because of that grant. And also, the church has loaned some money to the meditation gardens for startups, so it's a few thousand there as well. So we are holding our own. We're in good shape. I mean, I'm excited. I heard I was the most positive treasurer. But I do think we're in a place, we're growing. We're only going to get better as time goes on. So I'm excited. Let's see. Okay, and liabilities. So it shows $92,000 liability for the church loan, which certainly looks like it's going to be paid off soon. So that's going to go away. And so that just increases our equity and decreases our liabilities. It's a really good thing. And now it's Zelda. Is Zelda here? Zelda?
No, you can just announce this.
Oh, okay. This is next week. Okay, so next week, Zelda and Reverend Blair will be talking about how you can do prosperity and giving. Basically, it's the end of the year, so if you have a required minimum distribution, you can give it to Unity directly, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. So feel free. We'll be happy to do that. And then what's next? Okay. Aaron.
Oh my gosh, you guys, we are just moving through this. Well, hello everybody. Okay, it's been a while since I've used this clicker. So I am super, super excited to be here, and my purpose today is to share some exciting, what I'm calling birth announcements with you all, keeping with the family theme. Because in the amount of time that we have, to be able to fill you in on all the beautiful things that are growing and evolving and coming forth in youth and family life is just not possible. So it was very difficult to pick a few things to share with you, but I did it, and yes. So we have been working and reworking the what we used to call the mission statement. It's now our evolutionary purpose, which it sounds so much more alive, right? And so much more in alignment with where we're going as a community. But I feel that it's important to share with you what our evolutionary purpose is in youth and family life, because we're all a part of that, and we're all building something that's deeper and wider and so inclusive to our community that is established now, but also creating space for new families and for our kids to get involved and learn leadership and to be supported. It's just a beautiful, beautiful program that we're offering. But our evolutionary purpose at Unity of Tustin, our youth and family life provides a warm space to explore Unity principles and gain practical tools for mindful living, inspired by our values of compassion, gratitude, diversity, and service. We are empowering the next generation to live happy, heart-centered lives through lessons encouraging authentic expression and spiritual growth. We welcome you to explore our youth and family life, where families connect, uplift each other, and build meaningful friendships that nourish body, mind, and soul. Wow! That was a process, yes, but we're there. We're there. We're living it right now. It's beautiful. So the first birth announcement, and probably, oh my gosh, I can't contain myself. I'm very excited for this. We are bringing back a children's music and choir group. I know. Okay, so we haven't had a kids choir music since Jim and Christy White were here in 2018. So that's 5 years. Yeah, they left February 2018, so almost 6 years. So we're very excited to have Claire Purcell, who is a beloved member in our community. She's not here today, but and also Emily Sellis, who is one of our parents. They are leading the kids, and their grand debut will be for Christmas Eve. So we hope that you will all join us at 11, because they are working very hard on learning all the music for you to share. And then the second announcement is, so our Nature Explorers outings were something that we started in the pandemic during COVID, to where we can still have connection out in an open space. You know, nature is one of our spiritual tools and practices that we are instilling in our youth, right? Being out in nature. But I'm excited because we have this resurgence of energy and people wanting to be a part of youth and family life, like actually putting things on, leading things and participating, and it's so wonderful. And so we have about 5 families who have committed to hosting and organizing and putting together the Nature Explorers events every month. So that's not just for youth and family life, that's for community as well. So we're all about the, connecting together with our community. And then one thing that is really important, and it's a call out to our community supporters. Our teen group is really growing, and it's very exciting. But logistically, they cannot have their own space every Sunday because we don't have enough teachers who are able to sustain that class. You need to have 2 vetted teachers per grade level. So here's our call out, right? If you are thinking about it and you're not sure, now here's the call. Here's the call. We need your help. The teens need to be able to have their own space every Sunday. Right now we have Mare and Raina who have lovingly stepped forward and are with the teens one Sunday a month. So please consider. And then as far as staying informed, like I said, there's a lot happening in our group, and to stay informed on upcoming events and things that our kids are up to, I try to update our social media and put everything in our e-blast every week. So please take a look there and follow us. And I want to give a shout out to all of our youth spirit guides, volunteers, and our sponsors, everybody who is a part of this. As a parent, it means so much to have my children and your children in such a loving community where they are learning heart-centered living, where they can learn and explore their spirituality in a safe and supportive way. And that's really not something that we take for granted. So thank you all very much, and thank you Pam and Mare and Raina. We're just so grateful. So thank you very much for being a part of that. And who's after me, Shara? And without further ado, Maricela, will you please come up?
Thank you, Erin. Well, hello, Unity of Tustin. So I have got some exciting information to share. Today we Unity of Tustin participated in a very big Tustin event called the Dino Dash. And there were approximately 7,500 participants in the event. We were one of the exhibitors, so we set up our booth, and we had an amazing banner that was created by Deanna. I have pictures I hope at some point we'll be able to share with you all. And we handed out our little giveaway bags. And so it has a little notepad that has a little Unity of Tustin sticker on it. It also included a little pen with Unity of Tustin on it, and then our 2 beautiful brochures. So every visitor who came to our booth, we encouraged them to take one of these. And we made about 297 of these little gift bags. And how many did we give away? 204. So, yes. So we had, like I said, we had just such an amazing turnout. We made some amazing connections with all walks of life, a lot of families. There were, of course, a lot of like educators. We also had a city council member stop by, and they were very interested in information about our church. We had a sign-up sheet, and we've got some signatures on there, people who are interested in getting more information. And so, I would say it was an amazing, amazing success, and I'm so, so grateful that we were able to do this. And then I just want to give a shout out to our volunteers who helped. Lisa Colabar helped, Gary Godshell, Rick Colabar, my husband, Jeff, and am I missing anyone? No. Okay. So that, that's the update on our Dino Dash. So, very exciting. Very, very exciting. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was integrating our church with the greater community. And so we're talking about our whys. And, when we thought about this, the why is pretty clear: to transform lives, inspire people to make a positive difference in our world. This is our mission statement, and it's a very, very powerful mission statement, I think. As a congregation, we know how truly unique our community is, our church is, and how special and transformative a place this is for so many of us. This is unlike any church that I've ever attended. And as we go through this period of expansiveness, which we are, there's lots going on right now, and there's a lot of expansiveness going around. Within our community and grounds, it's become apparent that it's also time to expand our reach to the greater community, so that we may connect with those individuals who are being called to awaken to their greater good. So those people, moms, dads, teachers, grandparents, children, the list just goes on. After all, we are a community comprised of all walks of life and accepting of all backgrounds and gender identities. Isn't that remarkable? Yes. I think that is absolutely remarkable. So the need for peace and connection right now is greater than ever in these changing times, turbulent times. And Unity of Tustin offers so much, including our spiritual teachings and practices, as a way for each person to connect to their divine identity. Unity of Tustin, I think, has been a hidden gem for way too long. And I think it's time to share our greatness and our evolutionary spiritual community. So with that, one last thing that I wanted to share with you is, future events. We're going to create a calendar of future events for 2024. And we will try to participate in as many as we can. The events are concerts in the park, Tiller Days, Chili Cook-Off, Art Walk, Dino Dash, and City of Tustin tree lighting celebration. So there's, stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. And I think in closing, I would like to say that there are many paths, but there's only one Unity of Tustin. Thank you. And let's see. Next, I'd like to introduce Kathy. Thank you, Kathy.
So thank you, Maricela. Now, for all this connection that Maricel was just talking about, and that we are as a community and who we welcome. One of the places, once they start showing up at our services and want to connect more, they'll connect through spirit groups, which are our small group ministries, although this time around they're not so small, but I'll get that. So actually, first I'll give a little update about where Unity of Tucson fits in with the Unity Worldwide Ministries, so that there's going with the theme of growth and rebirthing of new things that is happening so much in that. As the Spirit Group program leader, I've got things a little bit easier. That Spirit Groups have been going on sort of for about 10 years with Unity Worldwide Ministries, although they first ran the certification program last fall. But we are huge with that. Actually, I'll come back to that. This, I was fortunate to go through the first time that they had a certification program, and now I think this fall, twice as many people are going through the certification program as last year. And one of the ways that Unity Worldwide Ministries is showing their investment in the power of connection and service and centering that spirit groups are so good at is they're translating all the materials into Spanish, which means that they want to go Spanish. There's a lot of Spanish speakers in our country, but then also all of Central America and South America. And so this helps with Unity's international growth. Because it's wonderful. We're fortunate we've got 3 ministers, but they can't be everywhere. So Unity, the spirit groups, is one way we are ministering to each other, doing our spiritual growth, and having outreach in the bigger community. And so this is Unity across the country and across Canada is really, this is a way we are expanding. And then it's also a way that as people come in and find us and then say, how do we get to know you? How do we get to know each other? Become involved in the community. And they're doing that through spirit groups. We're seeing that at Unity of Tustin. I'd like to see who in this, raise your hand if you're in a spirit group now. Lots of people. And raise your hand if you were, maybe even if you were ever in a spirit group, although not this time. So it's even more people. And you also, if you're thinking about who's in your spirit group, how many are seeing a lot of people you haven't met before? Yes. And people who are new to this community. And also I want to give a big shout out, because I know in my group, and you're probably seeing it in your groups too, that Craig Stephen Phillips has a big showing of people that are in his meditation community. And this time, partly because of the topic and how much he's talking up, but we're having several people showing up in each of the groups that they found our spirit groups through Craig, that they're otherwise haven't been involved before with Unity of Tustin as a separate entity. And so we're seeing that. Another number, I think some of you have heard that there's one of the other Unities, I believe in Arizona, that they've got 45 people or so coming to their Sunday services, but then they had 60 people involved in their spirit groups this past time around. So when we're thinking about who will miss us if we disappear, just how is our impact we're having on the bigger world, spirit groups end up doing that. And I think today we had 104 people in our sanctuary, but we have over 70 people sign up at the beginning of spirit groups this time. So we are on that trajectory as we get more facilitators, that we will be able to have these more people in this and keep growing. So that's the trajectory we're having of having more and more people involved. And where we are in the cycle, because what I was invited to talk about was what we'll be doing next year, but I know with me running a spirit group, I'm not ready to think about that. But the date we're at today is we're coming to the end of the program meetings, and I believe each group has decided what their service project is. And the evolution we're seeing that, not less so for the fall, but what's going on year round is there's a lot more of the service projects that are out in the larger community. This time we've got 5 groups, and 3 of the groups are helping out with United in Light, which is partly our outreach to the bigger community. But it's helping out our church, and it shows up in a big way. One of the groups is going to be putting pamphlets in the back of chairs, which makes things easier, and part of what they do is put in pamphlets and things that the community members take out, and so that's an impact that's on our bigger world. And then this is the second time the group I'm working with, we're going to be working with the Huntington Beach Wetlands Conservancy. They've got the third Saturday we help planting seeds and helping out with the wetlands. So that's a consistent outreach into the bigger world. And that's part of what we're about as far as putting what we've said a couple times today, our mission as far as who we are as Unity of Tustin, inspiring people to make a difference in the world. And so if you're involved in spirit groups, you're doing that regularly. And with us, there will be part of the idea is showing the love that we all feel to people who we may never see. And I think all the service projects are doing that, but it particularly brings warmth to my heart. Like, there's so many things we could be doing, but as we keep evolving as spirit groups, we'll be doing more of this. That in this case, we'll be planting seeds of plants we'll never see, putting plants in the ground for birds and critters that will be coming by later and nesting there and feeding there. So it's who's going to miss us? The birds and bees and everything like that. And we've got that in our picture. So a takeaway I want to have is like, when you think spirit groups, just think, I'm glad I'm a part of it, right? Right, because there's so many of us that are, and this is our how we're connecting. And so we've got, where we are, we're about to start the part of the spirit groups that are about doing the service. And we've been doing a lot of hard work with the Byron Katie work. And so we say, we're not just about that work, we're about having fun. So the groups are all going to be having their social events soon, and the United in Light, and a celebration at the end, which will be a taco night that anybody can stop by and enjoy tacos. That will be Sunday, December 3rd. Probably 7 o'clock is the perfect time to come by and get some tacos. Right for that. And so then we want to keep some momentum going. I'm overwhelmed with a bunch of other things. There's not a single person in the room that doesn't feel like they can't take single thing on extra. But I want to keep the momentum going. So I'm thinking at the moment if we're not meeting, to keep the service project going. So I'm going to be checking the calendar, and because the Wetlands Conservancy meets and the third Saturday of every month, to maybe invite anybody that wants to keep the momentum going with the service project to participate with that. So that's new news. I haven't spoken to anybody before. So we want to keep that going for December. And then in the third week in January, look for a new cycle of spirit groups to start, which means I will be asking as many people as I can think of, would you be interested in running a spirit group? Would you be interested in running a spirit group? Because it's so rewarding, and it's great. It's busy, but you get so much reward for that. So I believe that's the main things that I wanted to talk about today. So we've got evolution going in all areas, and spirit groups is one of those. Let's see who is coming up next. Who's on slide 8? Mary Jean, come on up.
Thank you, Kathy. So briefly, I just want to say two things. One is, and I look at things through the operational, administrative, the overall sort of thing about the church. And I think most of you know that after we had the 3-minister holy experiment, very quickly I started saying, yeah, this is great, except, and there were some pretty big excepts. So I started sharing my feelings about that with the board, and finally some other people started seeing, yeah, that's right, what about that? So I guess I'll call it a prayer, has been answered, because people would say to me, well, we have 3 ministers, what's your problem? And I'd say, well, yeah, we have 3 ministers who come in and talk on Sunday, but there are lots of other things that ministers do in a church, lots of other. You don't see those things, but they're there. So one of those things has now been resolved for me, and that is I now have Shara as my go-to person, as the person who, she'll be quick to say, well, I don't make all those decisions, but I don't feel that sort of lonely feeling I felt when we had the 3 ministers, sort of. So that's been a huge thing for me, is to have her, and I just know it's going to grow more and more. She will be here full-time next August, but even between now and then, I've just noticed a huge difference even up till now, so I'm very grateful for that. Secondly, we know that we need to have administrative help. I feel sometimes like people are afraid to ask me anything because they just think one more thing is just going to do it. And I don't want you to feel that way, please, because I feel it's important for our church to have, the administrative, the financial, the go-to, what should I do about this, where is that, whatever. But we are working on that, and we had a conversation about it, I guess that was last week or maybe the week before, about what are we not getting? What are we not, because we've really tried to call this in, we really have. And it just wasn't coming together. So we decided, okay, you know what you do when something like that happens. You just let it go and wait for guidance. You don't force the river. You don't try to make it happen. But we've had some progress on that front, which we're kind of optimistic about. So we'll keep you posted and see what happens. Because we know this is something that we really need, is to have more administrative support. So Lance, I'm used to saying Tony. So now is our time for questions or concerns or, anything that you have on your heart that you want to share, and we'll try to address it. Anybody have a question or a concern? Doug? I'm sorry, what?
I think I just wanted to, for anybody that's online, they might be streaming through YouTube or Facebook. I can address comments that are coming through on Facebook. So if anybody's on YouTube, to just come on over. So if they have questions, I'll post them on Facebook and I'll read them out to the room.
Okay. So Doug, do you want me to run? That would be great. Does this mic work?
Oh, do you want me to?
No, I want you to another one. Never mind. There's another one.
Oh, there's one
There's
right
another
there.
one. Okay, take
Okay,
that
so
one.
I'm not going to throw it.
Thank you. Last week in Shara's salon, somebody brought up the issue of security for the Hummingbird House, and it was very concerning that there wasn't some type of a system, alarm system, or some type of security over there. I've just wondered if was there anything in the security grant for looking into security for that, and maybe the Victoria House?
There are cameras over there at Shara's house. Yes, at
Okay.
Hummingbird House.
Oh,
Yes.
did we rename it as Shara's house? She wanted
now,
to move to Orange
for
County,
now.
so yeah. And do you feel that's sufficient? Is that
I don't have any additional security.
okay? Well, I know the prayer of protection, but This is 2023, so the
Right.
world's crazy, so, okay.
Can I make a comment too? Sure. I had a separate feeling of if we were to disappear, and I'm like, let's not think of disappearing as we keep emerging and evolving and growing. Just frame, because I'm like, I don't want to think of disappearing. So I'm just conscious thought. Thank you.
Regarding Hummingbird House, if you didn't know it, there's some very bright automatic lights that come on when somebody passes by. So those are there already.
Anybody else?
Okay, just to let you know, I'm kind of a numbers person overall, not in detail. I guess a question is, with the preschool, do we have any kind of a report financially of how much we would expect this thing to cost us, and then when it would be available, what kind of, how do we finance that? Do we get a loan or whatever? I don't know. And then when we expect income, how much income would we be getting, so that where is our break even here? We're going to have to put out money. When would we expect to get profit? Dirty word, but you know.
Not dirty at all. We need it.
No, that's part of the whole point here. And some of the answers to those questions are to be determined, because they will be negotiated with whomever we lease to. And so, for instance, I got 3 bids on the fire alarm system. They ranged from $30,000 to $16,000. Guess which one I'll pick. And it's not determined whether or not we would foot that, or they would foot that, or we would split that. So these are things that are all to be determined. The construction that needs to be done in the education room in order to add those plumbing fixtures, same story. That's all negotiable. We've talked to the broker, the preschool broker, and he says there's a million different ways that can be structured. So I can't firmly answer that question. Where would the money come from? Our portion, whatever it is we wind up doing, I would imagine it would come from reserves or whatnot.
Well, it could.
We got a loan, right?
No.
Did we get that loan approved?
Yeah, well, yes, the loan on our investments has been
Yeah.
approved.
So we had,
yes.
it's 100,000, right?
But, yeah.
So we have funding like that.
Let me just say the microphone. Yeah. So we were able to get like a line of credit against our investment. Our investment is like $225,000. So we got a $100,000 line of credit. So because we knew we were going to need some money to get this, to get the preschool construction done before our revenue stream came in. So, I mean, and then what they were telling us, I think when they first were, first inquiry was like about $4,000 a month, and now we're thinking it might be $5,000 or even more thousand a month. So that's $60,000 a year. So probably within a year or two, you would think we would pay off that loan and start making money.
What else, Bev, did you ask?
Just one other question. I've heard, having been involved with it just a tiny bit, but there is a very strong residential community association here. And what is their position on our plans? Because frankly, I was part of the Catholic thing, and believe me, they had a lot of money and a lot of lawyers, etc., and they had to scrap their ideas.
That's possible. There is a body called the North Tustin Advisory Committee, NTAC, and they are part of County of Orange planning and so forth. And when we were creating this particular sanctuary and church and everything 35 years ago, we did have to go through the county and get what's called a use permit. And that has public hearings, and that is a very big deal. It's very expensive and so forth. And NTAC was consulted for that, and they did have things to say about what could be allowed here and what could not, and so forth. In fact, we were only approved to go forward with building this on a 3-2 vote. So it was close if we were even going to be allowed to develop here. That's 35 years ago. We have proven that we are an excellent, responsive neighbor. I don't know what first of all, I'm not sure NTAC will be consulted in this particular deal because we're not doing a year's permit right now. We're doing what's called a changed plan process. There is no public hearing. It's a much smaller, less expensive process. Not to say that they're not going to reach out to NTAC and ask their opinion, and if they do, then NTAC will talk to the neighbors. They certainly will. And who would be affected noise-wise or what have you? There'd be maybe 4 houses over our back fence. We've proven that we have good entry and exit. We've proven we have good parking. We've proven we're not super noisy and so forth. So again, I hate to say, I'm not sure how to answer that question. It's my hope, and I've talked to our planner, and she didn't say that she will be sending things off to NTAC. She'll send it to buildings, she'll send it to fire, she'll send it to public works, she'll send it to geotechnical. We talked about all the different disciplines at the county that will take a look at our plans. And I believe I specifically said, so does it have to go to a public hearing or to NTAC? And she said, no.
I think my concern is we have a lot of uncertainty and questions. And we're going to be asked to be putting money into this because you're at the point, I would think, I'm just guessing, where you're going to have to pay for expert opinions, reports, et cetera, and it would be nice to get a few of your uncertainties out of the way and be more sure that we're going to be able to progress with something before we actually do the expenses. Do you mind if I ask Doug if he has anything to say, because he's had a lot of experience
if
with
I could
this.
address that
Sure.
before we ask Doug. The board looked this over closely, and I wouldn't call it a leap of faith. I would call it, I don't know, considered small risk. We even put a ceiling to how much we're willing to expend on this before we go any further. And a lot of this will become clearer once we get the response from the county. They have 30 days from when we submitted our plans that they have to respond to us. And part of that response will be clearances. So they'll tell us, you have to go to Orange County Fire Authority and give them plans, and they have to tell you what to do. You have to go to the building department and get building permits to put in those toilets and such like. So there will be a clearance list and then we'll know better. Then we'll know better some of these things. And as I tried to say earlier, this is not a done deal. They can step right up and say, we don't approve you. We deny you. And at that point, then we're at another choice point where we can appeal. We can appeal to the Planning Commission, and if they shoot us down, we can appeal one more level to Yes, thank you. So I don't know that we would. And I keep saying I don't know, but this is where we are. We stepped forth this far and said we'll spend this much to apply to the county and so forth. And then we'll see where they take it and what they impose upon us. And then we'll have a better idea. Hopefully they won't say no. I don't know why they would. When I asked them at the beginning, I said, well, so what is, you can't promise me anything, but what's your considered opinion? What's the temperature of the planning, the planners? And they go, oh, we almost never deny these. But if NTAC hops in, and they're a very active group, you're exactly right. Then if they come in and they have their concerns, then we would have to allay those fears. Whatever they are, we would have to say, and as you can see, for 35 years, we've been excellent, responsive neighbors. If we make too much noise, we fix it. All that.
NTAC, from my experience, doesn't listen to we have been or do you understand what I'm saying? They go and they get people riled up, and then there's no going back on it, which is what my experience has been. I'm just going to ask, if you mind if we ask Doug if he would say something, because he has experience with all this.
Thank you. Let me back up here. Yeah, I think that Bev, Connie, and I have discussed this already about Intact, and I gave her my opinion on Intact. I've dealt with them quite a few times when I was working for the city of Tustin, when people wanted to develop something in the county, and even the city tried to fight Intact on all the stop signs you see on La Colina. They're unwarranted. They can't. If you challenge it, they throw it out of court if you stop at those, because they're unwarranted. But Intact wanted them, so the Planning Commission approved them of the county. But, and one thing I did tell her is, even if we get Intact approval, we get Planning Commission approval, the Board of Supervisors can still deny it. That happened in Anaheim. They got, all the citizens group approved the church conversion to an apartment house. And the Planning Commission approved it. It went to the city council. All of a sudden, everybody showed up that never said anything about it before, and the city council denied it. So they lost everything they'd invested in everything. So like you said, you're waiting for the county's comments. That's the key. Once you get that, then you'll have a little bit better idea of the path you need to go down. But her and I have talked about meeting with Intact ahead of time. But I think she's got some good information from the county planner that says they're not intending to send it over to Intact. So we'll just go with that.
Well, and I absolutely respect what you said, that it's a fine line of trying to get out in front of these people and start talking to them ahead, or saying it may not even go to them.
Right.
So why kick over that hornet's nest if I don't have to?
No, I agree. I agree.
So that's kind of where we are at this point. Thank you, Bev.
Great.
Joe?
I just want to say I appreciate all the work's gone into this, and I had no idea how political it was. My God. And, you know, Mary Jean, I heard teenagers mentioned here quite a bit. And over there, there's little tiny kids up to pretty good-sized teenagers. And I was just wondering what the age range in that preschool will be.
Oh, in the preschool? I think it depends on whoever leases the land, but I believe it's 2 to 5. Yeah, I think they don't take, most don't take infants. That's a whole other deal, I guess.
Oh,
So it's like 2.5 to 5, something like that.
Okay.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, I was a coach at the Catholic schools for quite a while. That was before I was a senior. And I could tell there was great differences from the real little ones to the more advanced ones. And I just couldn't see a 2-year-old and a 17-year-old being in the same class. Okay.
Joe, I can, when I'm listening to your feedback, and kind of what comes in my mind is logistically, because then on Sundays and other times that YFL has our events, you know, that's going to be a shared space. How that looks, I'm really at the point where it's like, okay, well, we're going to give it to Spirit. I'm not going to worry about that. But I do understand what you're saying, because that is a shared space. And so the entire education building, so all 3 of the classrooms, will be part of the preschool. And how that is going to look and how it's going to be mapped out, again, that's another, like, we don't really know. It's going to take a lot of flexibility on our part in welcoming this shared space. But for our teens, the plan that I have and Connie supports is that our teens and our older kids on Sundays will move back to the room in Victoria House. So there's another really nice room back there that will become their space. And so then on Sundays, like the younger elementary school kids can have this space. And it won't be such a big, like, whoa. You know, we have 16 and 17 and sometimes 18-year-olds. They don't want to sit in a place that's like, you know, has chairs that are like, you know, little. So I think that's good. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think about that and, you know, like, okay, how is, you know, at a preschool, we have, in our classroom right now, it's really like our own sanctuary, you know? It's very, we have our stones, we have our water fountain, we have things that preschools are not going to want. It's a safety issue, so, but anyway, there's gonna be things that we're just gonna have to be flexible and see how it works, but yeah, so. Thank you, Joe, for saying that.
I just want to add that Connie has done a masterful job on this, really taken it down to the studs. And, you know, she has other jobs here, too. She's the president of the board, plus the gardens and all that other. I mean, she's Superwoman. Anybody else have a question or a concern or something they want to express? Okay, so let's have our closing prayer. I want to acknowledge today gratitude. This is November, the season of gratitude. And we can sometimes think of things we're grateful for. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that didn't happen, even though I worried about that. But gratitude can be an attitude, as people say, where we can first be grateful, first step into gratitude, without having to necessarily know why we're feeling grateful. So let's hold that in our heart now. And we are so grateful to everyone in this community. Even if you don't have a particular task or job, just your presence is something we're grateful for. And we ask that Holy Spirit bless each person, each soul, and we continue to be, as we aspire to, a beacon of light for Orange County, for California, for the United States, and for the world. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Go forth and be grateful.